So back from Embrun, casual beer and a bit of a catch up about what I got up to, what's next, and my thoughts on Kona in 2021 getting cancelled.
I hope one day, somehow, always we'll meet again. Cause I've been wondering why we still play as we were friends. I hope somehow, always we'll meet again. It's time to care, we should just share love one day.
So Embrun was it was really good. Took us we went down there for 11 days. Me and my dad drove down there, took turns. There was a very long drive. Took us like 16 hours on the way there. Had a bike nicked, which was like a massive downer at the start of the trip. Not what you want to have. Luckily, I had two other bikes with me. But we made it to the accommodation eventually, and then my friend Tom and Pepe, who did some of the videos while we were out there. If you haven't seen them, check my YouTube channel, and you can see what we got up to out there. And after that, 10 days of really good training. We recce'd the course for the race, did some really big mountains, went up the Col de la Bonnet, which was the highest free road in Europe, and the third highest road, so that was really good. Tick that one off your bucket list, and got some great training in the heat down there, so it was a really fun trip. So the Alps are really good for a few different reasons. Like, we were staying at about 1,000 meters above sea level, so it's not classed as altitude training, but I think that you can get some benefits from it. Maybe not from necessarily sleeping at about 1,000 meters, but lots of the rides what we did went up to like 2,500 meters or 2,000 meters plus. So you're stressing your body at an altitude deficiency. There's obviously less oxygen in the air, so you're working harder, so you get some decent gains like that. And after coming back from there, I feel really good. Like, my power is really good. We did a run session last night, which was the second night being back, and it was probably the best run session I've ever done. So I think that I've got some decent gains from that way. Secondly, it's because it is so mountainous as well. You're constantly working hard going up the hills. There's never an easy ride, or there's never an easy run there. Because you're always going up hills, and the heat makes it good as well, because you can get some good adaptation training in the heat. It's similar to altitude training, so that gives you like another stimulus as well. So I mean, I think if you went there for a long period of time, because people might say, well, why don't you train somewhere like that all the time, because you'd be a lot better. But I think if you train there all the time, it can be too much, and you can overdo it because you can cook yourself a bit. But whereas when you go there for like between, say, 10 days and 3 weeks, you can train really hard, do one really good block of training, come back, recover from it, and then race, or head back out to somewhere like that again. We went rafting out in Embrun, which kind of mixed it up a bit from normal training. We got the paddle boards out, did a bit of paddle boarding on the lake there. That was awesome. But yeah, we just had a really good time, really. There was like 4 of us, and it was like good banter, a good laugh, and like when we weren't training, we were always like taking the piss. Oh God, he doesn't shut up. Like, that's what training with Tom's like. He can talk and talk and talk, and he eats as well a lot. Like, I've never seen anything like it. He is just like, if eating was an Olympic sport, he'd be a gold medalist. Yeah, he does push me as a training partner. Like, we did a bike session, one of the ones actually, like just before we went, and I said it was like my best ever power outputs on the bike, and after the first interval, he was actually ahead of me. And I thought, bloody hell, like, Tom's ahead of me. I actually thought, God, is my power meter overreading? Like, am I not pushing as much power as what I should be? But he was just going really well, and he has improved a lot, and he definitely does push me. On the run, he wasn't running that much. We only did steady runs together because he's coming back from an injury, so he couldn't do any hard sessions because it'd be too risky for him. And then swimming wise, I think I've got the edge on him in the water, but he definitely pushes me because I try and drop him, and he's obviously trying to stay with me, so we push each other in that way. But on the bike, he's a really strong guy. He needs someone to give him a tough time because he likes to take the easy option. Like, if he's not being pushed, he'll definitely stop earlier than what he can do, but he's capable of more than what he thinks he is, so you have to kind of give him a bit of a hard time. Also, he's a lot younger, isn't he? He's like an apprentice, so you've always got to give the apprentice like a bit of a tough time so they know what to expect. No one puked. He nearly did, he said, but I think he just says that because he wanted me to think that he was working hard enough. Yeah, I feel great for Embrunman. Like training's gone really good. I've only just started getting back into the pool. Like when I was in Embrun, that was the first time I'd really swum in a pool properly. I had swum in a pool a few times before I went, but that was with wetsuit. So I swam in there without a wetsuit, and I did start getting into some quite good swim shape. When I say quite good, it wasn't as good as what it was before, but it was a big improvement on when I first got there at the start of the holiday. So that's made a big difference. And then my running and cycling are probably the best I've ever been. So that bodes really well for the race. I think it's a 50-50 if the race goes ahead. Like I think at the moment it's a bit of a red area, they call it down there, for COVID. So it's, anything can happen. Like I think at the moment, the times that we're in at the moment, like 3 weeks is a very long time to think whether or not something can go ahead or whether or not it can't. I think it just depends on government guidelines. I think if there is a bit of a spike in corona cases, then it won't. They'll just cancel it, and they could potentially cancel it within 3 or 4 days before the race. All they've got to say is like no mass participation races. So I'm really hoping it does go ahead, but I'm kind of like thinking it is a 50-50, and just crossing my fingers that it does. Yeah, so had a bit of a nightmare on the way down there. Like there was loads of traffic, and then we're running late. We're thinking, God, the restaurants are all going to be shut when we get to Embrun, so we're not going to get any food. So decided to stop in Grenoble. Like I'd been there before, thought it looked a half decent place, and then found somewhere on Google Maps. We drove to like near where the restaurant was, parked it there. We were probably about 100 meters away when we were there, and then quickly got some food, paid for it, and then when we went back, the bike was bloody gone off the car. So like someone had quickly pinched it. That it was locked on there, so they managed to like break it off somehow, and ride off with it. So yeah, it was really frustrating. Yeah, went to the police and he wasn't interested. He said to us like, "What do you want me to do about it?" And we told him, it's a 12 grand bike. We want you to try and find it, but he wasn't interested at all. Told us to file a police report in Embrun the next day. And obviously you're like 2 hours away in Embrun, so you're like, well, really, you guys that are the local police need to have the police report so you know what you're looking out for. But yeah, really unhelpful, didn't really want to know. So yeah, we thought it was kind of like a dead end, really, speaking to them. It's a bit disappointing that Kona's been cancelled in February. I mean, it's understandable with like Corona and everything like that, and with one of the big issues was like people qualifying for the race because there just isn't the races to qualify. So I think that's one of the reasons. But for me personally, it's a bit of a downer because the weather in February is about 3 degrees cooler on average than what it is in October, and it's slightly less humid. So it would have been awesome opportunity for me to get a really good result there. So that is a bit of a downer. But I wouldn't normally race Kona in February, so it'll just be like racing Kona again. But I mean, with the shape I've been in and the results I've had in my last few Ironman races, I think I would have been in really good form for it. So it's disappointing, but it's totally understandable. So next race is really hard to, like after Embrunman, is really hard to pinpoint because, for instance, Hamburg, I think was on like the 5th or 6th of September, and that's just been cancelled about 2 days ago. So it's really hard to know what races aren't going to get cancelled, but if everything in the calendar goes ahead, which is in the calendar, I would say Ironman Nice or Ironman Barcelona, or probably both of them, to be honest. Like if they do go ahead, and I think they're in October. I think one's at the end of September and one's end of first week of October. They would be good targets if they go ahead. So since I've been back, I did a 10-mile time trial in North Norfolk. That was like literally drove through the night, left at 10 p.m. the night before, got back at 2 p.m. English time on the Tuesday, and then I did a 10-mile time trial at 7 p.m. Tuesday evening, and put out my best power up in a 10-mile TT and almost broke the course record. So really happy about that. Like not like doing that off the back of a drive back from the Alps, and then last night did a really good run session. And then today we went, Laura, my other half, took the paddle boards out, and I had a little swim in the Broad, and yeah, that was really good. So guys, that's it for tonight. But if you want to see what we got up to in Embrun, there's some videos on my channel and also on my friend Tom Oosterdijk. We've been kind of bouncing between each other, so he's got some videos on his channel with what we got up to out there. This is a bit different than what we normally do, just answering a few questions and that, but Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether or not you liked it, what you thought. And also, if there is anything you want to know in the future, please write below in the comments, and we'll do our best in the future to go through some of them in the videos. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and you can always share the video as well. That'd be great. Cheers, and catch you soon.